force I had never felt before. My head was banging against...
Slowly turned to me. Her hideous face was fully visible. I sipped cautiously. The room felt warmer, the lights a bit too bright.
I suppose you've all been wondering where I've been. Had some hurricane difficulties. No, don't ask about the shirts. It's orange. That's all you should be worried about. But for real, let's be for real. 9 days to Halloween, and I gotta push this stuff out quick. So we gotta do some Halloween things. Dang, I can't believe it's already been a whole year that this has been going on with my channel. So bear with me, and I still learned nothing. Let's start off with some reactions to some horror. We need horror. I said I was going to promise you animation and short story, but that didn't happen last year. So it probably won't happen this year either. Also, drink water. Don't worry about this.
My name is Daniel, and I have been working as a cemetery caretaker at Bachelor's Grove Cemetery for almost 10 years. It's not a job that many would seek out, but I like the quiet. There's something about the solitude of this place that I find almost therapeutic. Of course, except on Halloween.
I don't know what you would find therapeutic about this.
It's the worst night of the year for anyone in my position.
I'll tell you right now, I'm not working any place where I'm dealing with any type of dead in the ground or in a box. I don't care. It's not happening. And why does nigga got 5 fingers on one? You know.
Teenagers think it's fun to sneak in, play pranks, and record videos for their social media. I get it. People are morbid, and this cemetery has a reputation.
Okay.
The lady in white is not a new myth. Some tourists come asking for her, convinced they will see her if they walk the dirt roads after dark. I always wondered what made anyone believe in such nonsense.
Did you see their skin pigmentation? Did you see their skin pigmentation? Did you see their skin pigmentation? Exactly.
But well, I'm just the guy who makes sure the graves aren't vandalized and that no one is walking where they shouldn't be. That Halloween night was my second night as a cemetery caretaker. You could say I was still a rookie. I was prepared for another long shift. I wasn't going to let any group of brats ruin my day. The weather was perfect to scare off anyone who didn't belong here. Cold, dark, and a full moon that illuminated the cemetery and made me less dependent on the flashlight. As my shift began, the hours passed and all was quiet, which irritated me. The other guards had already warned me that the quiet was not normal for Halloween, and they told me that if everything was quiet, it was because something bad was happening. I was expecting the laughter and distant screams of teenagers getting into trouble, but this time, nothing was happening. Maybe I was overreacting. It all seemed pretty normal, considering I was guarding a cemetery. But as I walked among the graves, I heard something that, at first, I thought my mind had made up. A baby crying. I stopped in my tracks. I looked around, but saw no one. The sound came from the distance, sharp and clear. It took them long enough. At that moment, I knew it was a joke. I didn't let it scare me for a second. I wondered how they had done it. Maybe they had left a hidden phone playing the sound to waste my time. Kids today are pretty resourceful when they want to tease.
I mean, they're resourceful, sure, but what if that is actually a real baby? I'm just saying, I'm not going to find out. They'll be finding another. They will be finding another night walker.
However, as the crying continued, I felt a discomfort I couldn't shake. It was too real. The baby cry didn't seem altered, nor did it seem to be coming out of speakers. I followed the sound, walking faster now, annoyed, but also with a feeling I couldn't explain. When I reached the source of the crying, I saw it. A small bundle wrapped in blankets was placed on an old grave. It could not be real. I approached it slowly, not taking my eyes off the baby. A toy, I thought at first, but something about the way it moved made me uneasy. If someone left a baby as a joke, it was in very bad taste. I tried to get closer to get a better
Obviously,
look,
they would
when
not.
suddenly, a woman...
You don't see that? You don't see that bridesmaid right there? You don't see the corpse bride right there? You don't see the corpse bride right there? My brother. He gonna see it. He gonna see it. You gotta see it.
woman in a white dress appeared out of nowhere and grabbed the baby. My first instinct was to scream. No more jokes. This is not funny. The woman did not respond. She walked slowly with the baby in her arms.
Why? Yo, why is he still standing there? Why are you still standing there, brother? Why are you still standing there? I'm gonna need you to move with a quickness. With a quickness. With a quickness.
Arms as if she didn't hear my words. I could barely see her face under the white veil that covered it.
I don't want to see her face. Just keep going. With the quickness. I don't want to see the baby. I don't want to touch the baby. I want to hold the baby. I don't want to see your face.
I'm going to call the police. You better end this now. You've had your damn fun. You're going to make a great YouTube video. She didn't stop. She turned behind a large ancient mausoleum.
My boy still thinks this is a YouTube video.
I quickened my pace, convinced I'd find her and could put an end to this. But when I turned the corner, she was gone.
Why didn't you turn the opposite direction?
As if she had never been there. I froze, unable to process what had just happened. The baby had stopped crying too. The whole atmosphere started to get kind of stifling, as if the air had become heavier.
I would barely be breathing because I'll be running to my car. What are you still doing there? My nigga had 5.5 business days to get the hell out of Dodge. But I forgot. He's in a Nissan Altima.
No trace of her. Worst of all, I no longer believed it was a joke. What I had witnessed was too real to be a simple prank, and that scared me more than anything else. I decided to return to my post, but halfway there, the baby's cry came back. It was the same high-pitched sound that had brought me to that grave. This time, I hesitated to follow it. All my instincts told me
you're supposed to hesitate. You're not supposed to hesitate to do anything but get the hell up out of there. I hesitated to follow it. No, you're supposed to turn around and not follow it. Why are you still there? I'm sorry. Take a peek at his skin pigmentation. But I can tell you about half of the white folks in the world would have been out of there by now. This guy, for some reason, is still there. This can't be a true horror short. It can't be a true one. Because anybody would have been out of there by now.
Not to. However, the possibility that a baby really was in danger got the better of me. I walked slowly, following the sound, which led me back.
I'm sorry, y'all. This is the first one. This is the first one, and we're like 10 minutes in. And he still has not left.
To the mausoleum where I had seen the woman disappear. The place was darker than usual. The flashlight barely illuminated, and the moonlight did not reach this place that seemed to be covered by the other mausoleums. The crying was now coming from inside. I approached the small broken window to look inside, hoping to see something that would explain all this to me. What I saw, or rather what I felt, was pure terror.
And then I went inside to check it out.
Came a hand. A rotting hand with hanging flesh and long fingernails. Before I could react, that hand grabbed my face with inhuman strength and began to pull me inside.
I mean, you had 7 business days to leave, so whatever happens next, I don't feel sorry.
It pushed and pulled at me with a force I had never felt before. My head was banging against the metal door of the mausoleum as the demon continued to pull me. The pain was unbearable. I tried to scream, but the hand covered my mouth and squeezed harder and harder. I felt the skin on my face tear, and the metallic taste of my own blood filled my mouth. I knew I wouldn't survive much longer if this continued. I hit the door so many times that I began to lose consciousness. My body gave out, and the demon finally let me go. I fell to the ground. It didn't hurt anymore, but that was bad. Faced with so many blows, I had to feel something. But I had been hit so hard that I was no longer on the verge of fainting. I couldn't move. I could barely breathe. But still conscious, I saw the door of the mausoleum slowly open. From the ground, my vision blurred. I watched as a figure in a white dress emerged from the mausoleum. Pale, barefoot legs walked toward me, and then everything went black. I woke up startled at my workstation. At first, I thought I was still in the mausoleum, but I soon noticed that I was in my little booth where I sat on my shift. Before I could react, I gave a terrible scream. A face was in front of me. As soon as I screamed, the face that was looking at me was also startled. Teenagers were in front of me, and they ran away as soon as I reacted. I got up with difficulty, still confused by what had happened. I checked my face with my hands, looking for wounds, but there was nothing. Not a mark. It had all been a damn dream. The most terrifying and real dream I had ever lived in my life. I shook my head, trying to shake the feeling off, and went out for another round. I walked aimlessly until I reached the mausoleum where I had dreamt that dream. I approached the door, and as if coming out of a trance, I saw the inscription on that mausoleum and remembered where I was standing. At that moment, I noticed something that I didn't understand how I could have forgotten. That tombstone had a name and a date on it. But what disturbed me the most was the picture on it. It was a woman with a white veil and a baby in her arms. It was the famous mausoleum of the woman in white. At that moment, I thought I heard a baby from inside. If only for a second, all I could do was turn around and leave. At that moment, I missed the teenagers.
Oh, this a real place for real. Y'all showing me real pictures? That's crazy. Don't show me real pictures like that again. You're gonna get smacked. You're gonna get smacked in your throat. Now this one is called True Halloween Shorts. There's 3 of them, but I'm gonna react to maybe 1 or 2. See, this one's not as long, so maybe I can react to an extra one on here. But yeah, that other one was like, it's all right, but it's just, you know, it just all ended up being a dream. It made it trash. 3 out of 10. But hopefully this can really get us into it. IMR, animations, these guys, they do work. Scary stories and stuff. So let's see if this one can give us the creeps a little bit more.
Halloween night has always been just another date on the calendar for me. While people partied in ridiculous costumes, I was at my office, huddled over a dimly lit screen. Fixing code was my life, and that night was no different.
Oh, it's a negative.
So, when Julian, my coworker, called about a file crash, I didn't think twice before heading in to fix it.
Yeah, let's
By the time I was done, it was close to 1:30 a.m. The streets were deathly quiet, while the moon was a merely cold, distant eye overhead. I was so damn tired that all I could think about was getting home.
Oh yeah, you were tired. You look like me when I be trying to get home.
Bed. 15 minutes, that's all it would have taken. The night air was heavy and still as I drove through the empty roads. Totally normal. But as I passed an old, almost forgotten bus stop,
we're taking the other direction. We're taking that road to the side. You see that road to the side? Go there. Go there. Turn right. Turn right.
Saw her, a girl standing alone under the flickering streetlight. She was dressed like Samara from The Ring.
Yeah.
Pale skin, dark hair hanging in wet clumps over her face. She couldn't have been older than 14, standing there all alone in the dead of night. I pulled over and rolled down the window. Hey!
Hold up.
You need a ride?
You, brother, have the same skin pigmentation as me. You even know the character she looks like. You even said where she's from what movie she came from. And you still pulled over? You still pulled over? Obviously they're good. They're at the bus stop or whatever that is. Brother, keep going. We ain't got time. You can barely keep your eyes open as it is, bro. What are you doing, man?
I called out. She turned slowly, her face still hidden beneath the curtain of hair. For a moment, I hesitated. What if she took me for a creep and rang the cops? But then she...
That's what you're worried about. That's what you're worried about. This is indeed 2024. or I don't know what time, what date this video was made, but it's giving this era. It's giving Gen Z. Brother, that's the last thing I'm worried about right now. It's time to roll the window up and put the car in reverse. Back out of there. But okay, whatever. Let's see what you got. Let's see. You probably got hands. You probably can take her.
He nodded timidly.
Thanks.
She slid into the passenger seat.
Okay. I'm done pausing now. This is the last pause because obviously there's a story about these people for a reason.
Suddenly, a pungent odor like damp earth and something else, something rotten, filled the interior. I tried not to gag and blamed it on her overzealous Halloween costume. You really went for the looks, didn't you? I giggled.
Okay, maybe I can give him a slight pass because he thinks it's Halloween, so he thinks this is just normal. Okay, that one was the last one for sure.
Trying to lighten the mood. Her skin was an eerie shade of gray, mottled and blotchy, as if she'd been underwater for far too long. The attention to detail was disturbing. It wasn't until we drove across the bridge that she spoke.
It's not a costume.
She whispered. I let out a nervous laugh. Right, so what's your name?
Samara.
She replied. Even though my eyes were glued on the road, I couldn't help the chill creeping down my spine. I cleared my throat. Aren't you a little old for trick-or-treating, Samara? She laughed then, a low, rasping sound that made my skin crawl.
I am. But Halloween is my favorite night. It's a shame my parents don't let me celebrate anymore.
Why's that? I asked, regretting the question the moment it left my mouth.
They think I'm sick. I spend most days locked up in the attic.
Her voice was barely a whisper, but the words clung to the air, heavy and suffocating.
The attic?
I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. Before I could react, Samara slowly turned to me. Her hideous face was fully visible in the soft light. I noticed her skin first, peeling, hanging in ragged strips from her cheeks. It didn't look like makeup. Then, my eyes traveled down to her arms and the raw red flesh exposing beneath it.
You want to see a magic trick?
She asked.
Of course,
her lips
why not?
curling to a smile that sent ice through my veins.
You're already in the car.
Before I could respond, she reached up and peeled a patch of skin from her face. It came off in one sickening tear, revealing more of that oozing crimson flesh. I had never slammed on the brakes like that before. What the hell is wrong with you? I shouted.
Clearly you're
But
not
she just
slamming on the
laughed,
brakes.
Started pulling at more patches of skin.
I'm sorry, I know what I said, but me in this scenario here will hit one of these, correct? Oh, yeah, you're ripping your skin out? You're ripping your skin out? You would do that too, wouldn't you? Hello? You would do that too, right?
Yes!
Thank you.
Ripping it from her neck, her arms, her scalp, everywhere. Blood dripped onto her lap, and the smell, oh God, the smell, thick and putrid, filled the air. I couldn't breathe, my vision blurred, my hands trembling as I fumbled for the door handle. The air was thick, choking me, and that laughter, it wouldn't stop. I threw myself out of the car, my feet stumbling as I broke into a run. I could hear my heart beating in my ears. I didn't look back. I couldn't. I don't know how long I ran, but eventually I found myself at a gas station. The harsh fluorescent lights felt like salvation. I staggered inside, breathless, as I tried explaining the incident to the clerk. In a second, the cops were informed. The officers arrived quickly, and when I explained what had happened, they exchanged looks that were to remain my nightmare for the rest of my life. They didn't think I was crazy, but their silence was almost verbal. They escorted me back to the car. I was still there, the engine idling softly, but the passenger seat was empty. Instead, An older couple was standing by the side of the road. Their faces were contorted with worry. The officer spoke to them briefly before turning to me. "Mr. Miller, this is Mr. and Mrs. Peterson," one of the cops said. "Their daughter, Mary, she's been missing since last week." I stared at the couple, my mind struggling to connect the dots. Mary?
She's not well.
Mrs. Peterson said, her voice trembling.
She had a fever years ago. It did something to her skin. The bullying at school broke her irreparably. Mary thinks she's Samara. You know that girl from the horror movie, The Ring?
Yeah, we know.
Was drowned in a well for being weird and creepy.
I felt the blood drain from my face. The girl, she wasn't some ghost. She was real. All of it. Everything she said, it was real. And it's even more twisted that she found similarities with the dead girl from the movie Ring. The cops asked
for the
where I'd
movie,
last
the
seen
hit
her,
movie
but I could
Ring.
barely get the words out. My mind kept flashing back to her peeling skin, her laughter. I mumbled something about the bus stop. As they drove off, a cold dread settled in. What if they didn't find her in time? What if she hurt herself or someone else? Halloween
This
is about
actually took a
masks
turn.
and make-believe, but sometimes we can barely tell if it's a costume or...
Nice try. Nice try. Nice try.
My heart skipped a beat when I...
That was an okay try. That was an okay try. Okay, I'll give you that one. 2 out of 10 on the scare attempt, but story's like a 6. You know, it took a turn that I didn't expect. You know, it was actually a real girl, not a ghost or whatever. And but the skin peeling, they didn't really touch on that too much. Wait, or maybe they did, and I was just clocked out. I don't know. Let's keep going. Let's do another one then.
matched with Adam. His profile showed a charming smile, dark hair, and a hint of mystery. He mentioned he was new in town and looking to make connections. We hit it off immediately, sharing jokes and stories late into the night.
By the way,
I messaged.
my uncle throws this incredible Halloween party every year.
He
You
does.
should come.
Adam replied, "Sounds fun. I'll be the guy in the classic sailor costume. White uniform, navy accents, and a simple black mask.
That nigga wears a
Can't wait to meet
sailor
you in person."
outfit.
It
That's for
seemed
the
odd
girls.
to me how he was already ready with a costume, but since Halloween was approaching, I didn't think much of it. The night of the party arrived, and my uncle's old house was alive with music and laughter. My uncle's
As it
place
should
was
be.
always the highlight of the season, decked out in elaborate decorations that transformed it into a haunted mansion. I wore a flapper dress, complete with feathers and pearls, feeling like I'd stepped back into 1920s.
Okay,
As I
she's
mingled
looking
with friends,
kind
I spotted Adam across the room. The sailor costume suited him perfectly.
Hey, edit Reggie. Rewind that back for just 1 second. I want to see something.
The sailor costume suited him perfectly.
Yep. I did see what I thought I saw. Correct. That is true.
And the black mask added an air of intrigue.
Okay,
He
so it's just a
approached
black
with
mask,
confident
huh?
smile. Julia, I presume?
Guilty as charged. Glad you could make it.
We clicked instantly. He had a way of making me feel like we were the only two people in the crowded room. We danced to the upbeat music. And
It
as
just
we
faded for a
moved, he
second.
leaned in. You know, I could totally see you dressing up like a princess and dancing through these halls.
I actually did that. Uncle's Halloween parties are always amazing. I couldn't see him. Else I would have introduced you.
Okay.
He smiled mysteriously. You seem like someone who grew up with grand traditions.
Look
I giggled
at
like a
my
teen.
boy's face.
Later, as the party buzzed around us, he suggested we find a quieter spot.
This is how
He
you know
led
in
me
these
to my uncle's
animations
old
when they make
study,
the
a
eyes
room
crazy,
filled
they
with
make something
antique
weird, and they
furniture
blacken
family
out
heirlooms.
eyes.
The scent of aged
You already
books
know he's
and polished
deranged.
wood surrounded us. I hadn't been in there for years. Adam picked up a vintage photograph from the mantelpiece. Is this you? I peered at the picture. It was
This
me
you?
as a child sitting on the porch of this very house.
It is. I didn't realize my uncle still had this out. Also, great eye.
You've hardly changed.
I like the
As a
animation on this one.
child.
You're still to me.
More put together, more
Nothing.
lively.
He nodded,
Like real
his
people.
eyes unreadable behind the mask, hiding a pretty face which I was craving to see. He locked his eyes with me, put a hand on my back, and pulled me in, leaning to give a kiss. I moved back and decided to change the subject.
I should probably get back to my friends.
As we rejoined the party, I reached for my phone to check the time, but it was missing from my purse.
That's odd.
I murmured, "Everything okay?"
My phone's gone. I must have left it somewhere.
He reached into his pocket and handed it to me. "Found this on your uncle's table." I took it slowly.
Oh, thanks. Never realized I took it out.
But doubt lingered. I excused myself.
Yeah,
Maybe I
excuse
just need
yourself
something
out
to
of the
drink.
building.
Adam handed me a glass
I guess
from
it's
the nearby
your
table,
uncle's
not
house,
letting
so-
me go. "Here, try this." I hesitated.
No.
What is it?
"Just punch. Promise it'll make you feel better."
No.
I sipped cautiously.
Don't!
The room felt warmer, the lights a bit too bright. Adam stayed
What
close,
year is this,
his
bro?
hands lightly
You
touching
know better
my
than
elbows.
that.
"You seem tense."
I'm fine.
I insisted, even though I wasn't sure. As the evening wore on, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. His voice, his mannerisms, they all seemed strangely familiar. I tried to recall if we'd met before, but my thoughts were muddled. Needing a moment alone, I slipped away to find the bathroom. On my way, I noticed a door ajar leading into a small storage room. Drawn by curiosity, I stepped inside. Stacked on shelves were boxes labeled with family names. One box in particular caught my eye. It had my mother's name on it. I opened it to find old photographs and letters. Among them was a picture that made my blood run cold.
What?
It was my uncle at a past Halloween party, wearing the exact sailor costume Adam had on. The white uniform, navy accents, and
That is
black
horror.
mask. I stumbled
That is
back,
horror.
memories
That
flooding
is horror.
in. The way Adam knew about my childhood, the familiar gestures, his presence in the study surrounded by family mementos. Heart pounding, I rushed back to the party. I searched the crowd frantically but couldn't find him. Spotting my parents, I hurried over.
Mom, Dad, I need to talk to you.
They looked concerned.
Oh,
"What
me
is
too.
it, honey?" I told them everything. Their faces paled. My father clenched his jaw.
I would do
"Are
the
you
same.
Sure? I nodded.
I would do the
He
same.
knew things. Personal things. And the costume. It's his.
Without another word, my father went to call the police while my mother
On
stayed by my
business.
side. Minutes
Brother.
later, officers arrived, discreetly making their way through the guests. They found my uncle in the garage doing drugs and escorted him out, his mask removed to reveal a smug expression. As he passed me, he gave a sly smile. "I just wanted to dance with you, Julia, baby. I'll return for that kiss." A chill settled over me. My mother hugged me tightly. The realization that someone I trusted had crossed such a line left me feeling exposed and vulnerable. In the days that
That is a true
followed,
horror story.
I tried to make sense of it all. How long had he been watching me? Why would he do this? One thing was certain. The masks people wear aren't always part of a costume. Sometimes, they're there to hide the darkest intentions.
Those are pretty neat, I guess. Well, okay, that's gonna be it for now. The animations were not hitting as well as they were last year. Maybe I picked them wrong. Maybe the short stories will be a lot scarier. So at least I hope. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and see about reacting to some scary short stories, live action. But yeah, thank you guys for showing up, for whoever did show up, and I'll get back to you really quick.